like, give me the abridged version. How did you come upon the path? What is the path to you? Like, tell me your experience.
Okay, so I was born in the late 50s and in London. My family were kind of averagely neurotic British working class. Any signs of magic, any signs of hippie beatnik was beaten down, kind of suppressed, and I was told that's not okay. It was getting a lot of stuff from America, right? The Rowan and Martin show. I was very young. I don't know if you heard of that. It's a very young kind of beatnik show. These kind of shows were kind of not really allowed. I liked a show called Bewitched, which is another American one. You remember that one? And remember my father saying this is not suitable for you. So he had a kind of feeling that he had this feeling of fit in, be normal, conform with the system. This is the way to get on. 1950s values,
Right.
So I was a kind of teenager, getting into superhero, Marvel comics, Doctor Who, Star Trek, all this stuff. And then eventually I kind of gave up on the spiritual stuff, thinking nobody around me is interested. I tried going to a lot of spiritual organizations when I was 15, 16, doing yoga, martial arts, all this stuff. But in the end, I got the feeling, you know what, it's not supported in the world, I give up. So I went in the city, I got married, had 2 children, working in finance, banking. At the age of 29, 30, Saturn return, I had a major crisis. I kind of couldn't do it anymore. And I basically tried to end this life. Just press the eject button. And it didn't work. I had a kind of my first experience of a spirit voice was when I was leaving the planet, and it said, basically, don't do it. And I'm like, what? You waited till now to tell me? Couldn't you have told me 2 hours ago or something?
Right.
But so I was leaving the planet. The voice said, don't do it. I was kind of losing consciousness. I called an ambulance that came, and that started the whole embarrassing path of kind of psychotherapy and, resigning from city. So it wasn't until, let me see, my father died in 1991, and that exploded in me this whole spiritual search again. And I never understood synchronicity until then, because I found one spiritual teacher, another, a book, another, and I didn't know what synchronicity meant, but I had the experience. And then I found all these amazing spiritual teachers within 6 months, and basically my marriage exploded because my ex-wife was not happy, which was very painful. I found a lot of channels in America. I went to America, trained with Orin. Do you know Orin and Darben?
Oh, of Orin and Darben.
Yeah.
Be still my heart. Yes, I've been through the Activate Your Light Body course, and as well as many of their other meditations and programs.
Well, I did them in the early 90s, and by I think 94 I did their light body training, teacher training, and I was kind of like sailing out to the universe. I met Lazarus, another amazing channel in America. Started doing lots of intensive listening to all these channels. I was I started training with a teacher in England called Jill Edwards for 10 years. So I was on this path, and basically all my bookshelves were kind of cleared of philosophy and history and spiritual books, So then in 1997, I was working in local government by that time. I'd resigned from banking, and this was the only area of my life not aligned, which was my work and money. So I just decided to ask the universe, shall I resign? And the answer was yes. I got a Nike t-shirt, just do it. So I resigned, and it set me on this whole journey, and then I became a director of alternatives. I don't even know about alternatives.
I don't know about alternatives.
It's a major spiritual organization in London that hosts Deepak Chopra, Byron Katie, Eckhart Tolle. So we hosted them all in London. I was the director for 13 years. So my whole life was kind of fantastic. I was with the partner of my dreams, the house of my dreams, all this manifesting. Life was manifesting around me. And then around 2007, I was feeling frustrated. Something was niggling at me. Something was kind of itching. I had the ideal life, everything was working, but something wasn't right. And I had a kind of soul call to leave and do something, and I resisted it like mad, This was my soul family and my soul work, my soul partner. I wasn't going to leave it because my higher self was saying leave, and I resisted it, and that caused a major crisis. My life blew up. I had a dark night of the soul in 2010. I resigned from alternatives in 2012 on the winter solstice, and then I went into this kind of 5-year journey of finding myself again. And then I wrote 2 books during that time. I came out the other side in 2015, and then this journey exploded again in me. Starseeds, Ascension, light body, and I'm like, wow, I'm sailing out in the universe again, So I've been on that journey, just trusting, okay, do a a starseed workshop, okay, do a psychic protection training, okay. So I'm not resisting spirit now.
That sounds very similar and synchronistic to like how I work, actually. I am learned in the Akashic Records. Of course, I've been through a lot of different spiritual training, but had a mentor teach me about the realm of the Akashic Records, how to access that at will, and how to bring forward not only wisdom and healing, but also to create new protocols from that point.
Yeah.
And so I find myself very often getting a message saying, okay, this will be the next project that you need to work on. Go do it, get it out there. And it's just kind of like following one thing after another. So I identify a lot with that. And it makes me feel good to know that there are other people out there who work that way.
Yeah.
That we're just kind of like taking what's in front of us right then and moving through it, creating it, putting it out there, and then trusting that the next project comes.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. I did the Akashic stuff I came to in the late 90s. I trained with somebody called Robert Detzler, SRT, Spiritual Response Therapy. This was
I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, an American teacher, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a lot of Akashic stuff. I've done other trainings. I mean, the Akashic is so important, as you know, because it's a treasure house of so much rich material, both blocking and awakening.
Yes.
So accessing absolutely. That, the more on the path we go, we start hitting stuff which is kind of like, where's that from? That's a bit difficult, The first public talk I gave in the late 90s, I hit some level of terror in me, which brought me to the Akashic Records, because I realized it's nothing to do with this life, It's not my father's voice in my head saying don't do it or anything. It was some level of terror which was it was really because of, I think it's very common for light workers to have been blocked, killed, tortured, exiled through speaking their truth or radiating too much light, or I think there's been a whole period of time where it wasn't safe to be who we were. Mm-hmm. But that period is gone now. It's completely safe. And in fact, we're being called to do that.
Yes.
So
yes, 100% being called to do that. And I've formulated a specific mantra that I put out there of, I'm on a mission to help activate 10,000 light workers in the next 10 years. And I feel like, obviously creating that, sending it with my voice and putting it out there, that vibration out there, it's a call to action for all of those of us out there who feel that stirring inside of there's more, and I want to know more about that.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm really excited to talk to you about, because I haven't had anybody come on and talk about aliens with me and extraterrestrials with me, and I'm so excited to dive into this. Okay. I had experiences growing up where I would either see things in my imagination or out of the peripheral vision of my eyes, and never really, I grew up in a really loving family, but we didn't talk about aliens, and we didn't talk about managing your internal energy and that kind of thing. It's been more in my life now, as I've been an adult and as society, as we have advanced and progressed, that my family is really open to it. My family is very open to hearing it now.
Amazing.
But we didn't talk about this when we were kids.
Yeah.
And and it felt like I was in maybe a waking dream state when these certain species would come about, or that I would see them. And I would have interesting times where I would want to always go sleep with my dad when he fell asleep on the couch. And I would try to run down my hallway, because if I didn't run fast enough down the hallway, Steve, I wouldn't make it to the other end, to the couch. I would just lose consciousness and kind of float up out of my head, and then wake up the next morning in my bed. And until I began my study in the Akashic Records, I did not recognize that this was quite possibly an extraterrestrial influence happening.
Yeah.
And I still don't, I don't have a lot of people in my life who know a lot about extraterrestrials that I can just say, hey, what is this about and what's going on? So it's really fun to get to meet you and talk to you. So that's been my experience as a kid in seeing and experiencing things. So where do we even start this conversation?
Well, where we start is, we can start at the Akashic, actually, because the idea of starseeds, this concept of starseeds?
Yes.
So there's a concept of starseeds, and when I heard this back in the late 90s, I didn't believe it. I thought, well, I don't know, who knows? But more and more I get to kind of feel it's true. Starseeds, the idea of starseeds is beings or souls who come to this planet who are not native here. There's a lot of starseeds on the planet. Everyone listening to this call has probably got starseed connections. Everyone who I see as one-to-one clients, probably you see as one-to-one clients, I imagine are starseeds, most of them. Starseeds have come here relatively recently. They come from, if you think in terms of the Akashic, this is not the only dimension of existence. This is one of many. If you look in the Bible, Jesus said, in my Father's mansion there are many rooms. So what does that mean? Whoa, what does that mean? Many rooms. There are many places of existence. This dimension of Earth is just one dimension of Earth. There are other parallel possible realities of Earth. This is not the only one. And people can connect with those. Starseeds come from other dimensions, like the channel Orin is not from this dimension.
Correct.
Darben, and a lot of these channels are coming from other spaces. They come, Bashar, Cryon, they're coming from other spaces. Yeah, all these channels. And so more and more as the light on the planet expands and opens and the frequency shifts, more and more we can open to these kind of beings coming in and connecting with us. And there are all kinds of channeled beings coming in now connecting with this dimension of Earth. So starseeds are relatively new here. Some of us have been here before, but just to acclimatize, but we haven't been here for a long, long time. There's a distinction I make between starseeds and Earth seeds. At the moment, 99% of people on the planet are Earth seeds, meaning they've been here for a long time. They've been in the reincarnational cycle for a long time. If you read the history books of empire, slavery, war, you think what they've been through. They've been through a lot. And then starseeds come here and talk about light, talk about reality creation, talk about synchronicity flow, and they go, what are you talking about? So if you talk to people who've been here a long time, do not expect them to go, wow, I really resonate with what you're talking about, because they will not get it. And no matter what you say to them, they will not. It's not in their experience. If you talk to a starseed, their eyes will light up and they'll start to go, wow, I've been looking for this for a long time. If you think of people, and they've been coming ever since World War II, there's been a lot coming in. John Lennon, starseed.
Yes.
David Bowie, starseed.
Yes.
Steve Jobs, starseed.
100%.
A lot of the whistleblowers now, starseed. Edward Snowden, if you see Edward Snowden, looks like an angel, starseed. People like Chelsea Manning, starseeds. All of these beings, they're doing it because they look at the Earth and they go, this is not the way this planet is meant to be. Also, starseeds come with a mission, and these missions they're drawn to light work, they're drawn to earth healing, they're drawn to new technologies. There's loads of starseeds, for example, loads of computer nerds who are starseeds, anonymous, hacking into systems. There are a lot of starseeds who are bringing new technologies around. I mean, Tesla was a very early starseed, obviously, but and he was blocked completely. But there are a lot of starseeds now coming in, developing free energy, developing new technologies around communication, because the planet is accelerating, the frequencies are accelerating, and after 2012, more and more starseeds are being born here. What some channels are saying that about 40% of children now are starseeds. So if you think 1% of the planet is starseeds now, and 40% are being born, think of a generation, the shift already in consciousness. After 2030, there's another shift. It's likely to go up to about 65%. And the reason for this, what I understand, is if just suddenly we had 100% starseeds, the shift would be too dramatic. So it has to be staggered. So we're looking at an ascending Earth, which is ascending from 3D to 4D, which allows synchronicity and flow and manifestation to come online. Another 40 years we'll have 5D, 50 years 5D Earth, which means the Earth will totally transform. So in this period of transformation, we're going through transition. Light, dark. The dark is getting stronger and the light is getting stronger. Have you noticed on the planet how there are dark spots? And there are there's war, and there's people grabbing resources and oil, and there's Donald Trump doing what he's doing, and there's chaos, and England's in Brexit confusion. In any global transition, there's confusion. So the starseeds have come to shake things up, and eventually it will settle down. But we have to go through this period of transition and confusion, because a lot of old karma, collective Akashic, is cleared.
Yes.
And we're seeing a lot of very dark collective Akashic being released in terms of paedophile groups, satanic stuff. All this is being brought to the surface to be released. Now, 10, 20 years ago, nobody would have believed it. But now it's coming out, and it's slowly dawning on the collective that there's some dark stuff going on behind the scenes. A lot of darkness is being lifted out of financial systems, global political systems, military systems. That's where the darkness collects power, And starseeds are coming to shift all that. So we're here with a mission, and it doesn't mean we have to go and confront the dark. It just means we can radiate light, do what we've come to do, bring in, maybe being a mother of a, I'm sure you're a mother of a starseed, you know?
Of three
Oh my gosh.
starseeds.
Whoa.
Yes, I know. That's why when you said that, I felt the energy kind of blew me back, and it made me emotional for a second. Yeah, I have
3 of them.
I have two who are I easily identify as crystalline children. In terms of what particular area they come from, I haven't really looked into it. I just know that they're here really activating that crystalline grid.
Yeah.
And one definitely from the Native American Rainbow Warriors of the Light here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, these kids are activating, as you say, grids. The Earth grid is being activated. The crystalline, there's a new grid in the Earth being activated. There's a lot of starseeds working with that. And there's a new grid, an ascending Christ grid around the planet, and some starseeds are working with that. And as these 2 grids come together, it's producing a tremendous force on the planet. And we need starseeds. We can't just have these grids coming in without people to anchor them. So that's why we need starseeds. And one of the things about starseeds is that they're very sensitive. Mm-hmm. They have a different type of wisdom and knowledge and way of learning. So that's why they rebel against schools. I don't know if your kids are like, school is like, rah.
Yeah, one of them actually is like, I'm done with school, Mom. I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm like, okay, fine, we'll homeschool next year.
Okay, yeah. That's a great option, actually. Yeah,
great option.
Their sensitivity can be a problem for them because they can be too sensitive to stuff. They need to learn how to clear stuff out of their system. The other thing about starseeds is that some of them, particularly in my day, were incarnating into darker systems, dark families, dark corporates, dark. More and more now, it's easier for them because they're coming into mothers who are starseeds and parents who are starseeds and families. So it's easier for these guys to come in now, and that will accelerate. So it's getting easier for them. So the early starseeds struggled, like people like John Lennon. I believe he was probably bumped off deliberately. And people like that, they either get bumped off or, David Bowie somehow survived. But there's a lot of celebrities who are starseeds who are getting bumped off. I think Michael Jackson was possibly one, Whitney Houston another possible. That kind of celebrity grid is a very dark system, and they go in and they have to face some very dark manipulation. And
well, I didn't really give you the breakdown of my history. My history before I came to this was completely in Hollywood. I was the Midwestern girl who moved to Hollywood, and for 20 years that's what I did in that space. And I can 100% testify to what you were saying in terms of the dark nature of that place. And it's interesting how exalted it is in our society, and to be able to like break down the smoke and mirrors and understand it on a different level was really quite incredible for me. Feel very happy to have found another way to exercise my wanting to shine my light and wanting to be a storyteller and wanting to bring inspiration and those ideas that move people. So I'm so happy to have a different outlet to do that right now, because it is a dark place. It's a dark, scary spot.
It's dark, and you went into the darkness to come out, and not to fight the dark. And a lot of starseeds get tempted to fight the dark. I'm glad you didn't do that, because fighting the dark doesn't work. It just gives it energy. You have to come out.
It diminishes our power and increases that power.
Yeah, so don't do that. And a lot of starseeds also have the program around running from the dark and hiding from it, as if the dark is all powerful and going to get them. And this is what stops a lot of people from shining and stepping up. And the message I have is it's totally safe now. There is karma to clear, and there's programs and energies to clear, but once you clear them out of your system, the dark, they're doing their own stuff in the Middle East and chasing oil and trying to grab, money, resources and all that kind of stuff. But basically the financial system's had its day. It's only got a few years left before it's majorly reinvented. Oil has had its day. There's already technologies that's really going to kick oil well out of the way, but it's just because of power they're keeping these things in the sidelines. But they can't do it for much longer, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I definitely feel the shift coming. And I want to ask you, Steve, in your opinion, what is it that those of us who have lit up by this conversation, who are identifying our starseed origins now, what in your opinion, like, what's the next step? What do people do next?
Well, in the work I do, I try to connect them to these grids, the crystalline grid, and the Christ grid. This is a very good thing to do. I try and show people how to protect their space. I call on 6 angels. There's the classic, Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, the classic 4. Yes. Metatron above, Sandalphon below. Mm-hmm. These 6 are tremendous force. Then I call upon the higher self and all guides, including star guides. And then from there, there's a clearing stuff, calling back your light, clearing other people's light out your energy field. There's also connecting to different, we could talk about alien groups. Some of us have very strong connections to the Arcturians. Now, the Arcturians are very good for clearing out lower reptilian, that stuff. They're excellent, Arcturians.
Yes.
A lot of us have Pleiadian connections, and the Pleiadians were really part of the original Earth experiment. The original DNA of us, from the missing link from ape to human was Pleiadian DNA mostly. Mm. There is Syrian energies here. The Egyptian and Atlanteans. There's a lot of Syrian energies that went there. Also, I think the Jewish line has the extraterrestrial beings, the Jewish line connected to, and also merged with to some extent. Some of the DNA taken into their line was Syrian, I think, which accounts for some of that extraordinary intelligence you get in the Jewish, line.
Yes.
There are, let me see, what other lines are coming on now. Orion. Lots of people have Orion.
Say about the Orions, yes.
Orion Karma is, if you want to know Orion Karma, look at Star Wars. And a lot of starseeds have come here with Orion Karma, thinking, oh my God, it's not safe, because Orion was a very dark system for a while. So the whole Men in Black syndrome is Orion. But Orion is now sorted out this light-dark thing. So there are Orion beings. I put up an Orion transmission. There are Orion beings that can help us go beyond polarity. So Orion is polarity. This Earth is polarity. We're going beyond polarity.
Yes.
So there are all these groups. There are also interdimensional guides which we can call upon, like Orion and these Cryon and all these other channels that we can start connecting to. Some starseeds have to go through the thing of, am I crazy? You have to go through the thing of, am I crazy? Is this real? Am I down? People go, what? Starseed, what? Channel, what? Get a job, pay your mortgage, have some kids, this kind of thing. So there's a natural am I crazy phase. There's a natural clearing out your shadow stuff, which is all the old karma, naturally clearing it out. There's a process of clearing out your ego. I don't mean clearing it out, I mean upgrading the ego, because the ego is not one fixed thing. The ego is inner child, inner adolescent, young adult. It's the ambitious part. It's the introvert part. It's all those parts of us that kind of swirling around, and we've got many parts. And as the light comes into our energy field, it starts to expand and activate the ego. And so our ego might get more critical, more attacking, and more open and loving. So we have to go through this phase of ego upgrading. There's a process where the higher self, which is our mid-6th dimensional self, starts to want to take control of our ego selves. So there's this kind of fight that goes on for a while about the ego and the light inside of us, and then eventually the ego kind of softens and goes, okay, I give up. This guy, there is really a light out there. I trust it. And the ego then becomes a channel or a container for the light. The ego doesn't drive the ship anymore. Because on 3D, the ego is driving the ship. It's, me getting my Mercedes. It's me getting my raise. It's me getting the beautiful woman, the more money. This is all ego. But when we shift up the dimension, the ego doesn't go, but it becomes a servant of the light. It becomes more interested in service rather than not grabbing, more what can I give? This giving. Yes. So people like yourself, we want to give light to the world. We want to share. What you're doing, what I'm doing, and a lot of starseeds are doing. They get on the path of transformation, and then it becomes a point where I share my light. Yes. Not just about me; it's about everyone. So
and guys, Steve is. I'm sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to let everybody know that Steve is sharing so much. If you guys don't follow him on YouTube, you've got to check out. It's the Soul Matrix. Is it the soulmatrix.com? And they can look up specifically you. Tell us where we can find you on YouTube so that everybody can get on and share with their friends.
YouTube, Steve Nobel.
Steve
Nobel, and my website is thesoulmatrix.com. I interview spiritual teachers and authors and facilitators on podcasts. I create affirmation tracks, I create transmission tracks, which is like I mentioned, and I create something more recently, Ascension News, which is just my meditations, musing about money, wealth, relationships, sex, ego, all these things, you know.
Wonderful. Sounds like what my partner Nick and I are talking about on the Akashic podcast. We talk about all of those things: God, sex, money, what's going on in today's society. So it's gosh, such an honor to meet you. I just feel like we're doing a lot of similar work, but on different sides of the planet.
How do I find your podcasts?
The Akashic podcast is the name of it, and I will definitely send you a link to make it very easy for you.
I'll have a look at that. Great.
And in terms of, I wish I could sit and talk to you all day, Steve. I have another interview coming at 1:00. So before we wrap up, tell everybody, what kind of work do you do one-on-one with people and individually with people? If people out here are listening, like, I got to reach out to him.
Yeah.
What is it that they're going to find once they reach out to you?
So a bit like you, I do Akashic stuff, Akashic clearing, connecting to starseed nature, working with the ego, upgrading the ego, clearing the ego out. The shadow out and integrating shadow, soul retrieval, connecting people to allies in the unseen worlds, connecting them more fully to their higher self. I'm going to start doing something called these light activations, which I haven't put up yet, but there's one coming which is almost ready, called the Seraphim Gold activation. I haven't quite, it will be another 2 weeks or a week before that's ready. And so there's all kinds of stuff on my YouTube channel. Check it out. If it resonates, drop me a line.
Yeah, I have to say, you guys, it has resonated so much with me. You'll see all kinds of posts where I'm actually going down for my meditation time. I've got a lapis lazuli or whatever crystal they're telling me to grab and put on there.
Yeah.
And I listen to them almost every single day. It's not every single day that I go down, be able to like just rest myself and really sink into those transmissions, but boy, when I do, I feel like I am in heaven. And it's really one of my favorite times, Steve, of my day is spent with you. And so it's so fun to be able to like look you in the eyes and tell you that, and not just be feeling all of this amazing stuff that you're doing, but to be with you. So thank you so much for saying yes.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I want to invite, like I said, every single one of you guys who are watching, check out Steve on YouTube in terms of anchoring in these energies, of shifting these vibrations, of helping you to release the things that no longer serve, so that you can step into not only your soul purpose, but you can open the mind and have more understanding. There are many ways that we've blocked ourselves from being able to open and understand. Yeah. And when you are in the presence of somebody who is harnessing and bringing in this energy in a safe and a powerful way, it has the ability of just blowing the circuits for you. So I invite you to come get your circuits blown with Steve on YouTube. Like I said, one of the favorite parts of my day. So Steve, thank you very much.
Thanks,
everybody
Emily.
who's out there, thank you again. I hope you guys have a great day, and join us again. I have no idea what the next interview, if it's going to work on Be Live or if I'm going to be back here, but I appreciate everybody's patience and commitment to really showing up and learning. So honor yourself for being here and opening and expanding. All right. Have a great day, everybody.